Welcome to our Saturday morning paint and chat for Dungeons and Dragons contents. Today, I wanted to talk about some miniatures that my buddy, the Dead Professor, just printed. These are animated armor. It's a medium construct. It's something a necromancer would use. You would find in a castle. They are basically guardians. I'll read some of the background in a minute. So we have 3 animated suits of armor here. And these are 3D printed. Oh, dropped him. And I guess I'm in a necromancer type of mood. There's another animated armor. And who would use animated armor? Well, a necromancer would use animated armor. This is the 3D printed Ozzy Osbourne, the great necromancer miniature. I don't know who sculpted it, but it is really awesome. Has his little base here he stands on. So let's jump right in and talk about animated armor. So my animated armor is not yet primed. I use Krylon paint to prime. So I'm just kind of working on these skeletons. We're hitting it with some Nun oil from Citadel. And the most dangerous thing about Nun oil is spilling it. So I'll just hit these skeletons with some Nun oil, and it'll really make them pop out. And then I'll hit the highlights, armor. I'll just dry brush armor and paint the bows and maybe paint their clothing some browns. But I just want to have at least some shadows on these skeletons. But let's talk about our animated armor, which is spinning in the background. Animated suits of armor might move with steady deliberateness or awkward gaits. They are often constructed from plate armor, making them easy to mistake for soldiers or helmed horrors. Other types of armor, or even metal statuary, might become animated. So speaking of other types of armor or statues, I have this guy here. It looks like it's a statue. Hello, May. Thank you for jumping on this Saturday morning. I'm just talking about skeletons, animated armor, and necromancers for D&D. We're trying to grow a channel. We would love a subscription. That'd be great. And we are using Nun oil today in order to just kind of block out and shadow our skeletons. So this is the skeleton. We load them up and we just hit them and let all that Nun oil get in there. Really makes them pop. And then, like I said, I'll dry brush on top of that the armor, but I want to kind of bring out the skeletal details of these 3D printed models for our next campaign. So continuing talking about your animated armor, we'll go through the stats, and these are on D&D Beyond. 18 armor class. So animated armor does have a decent armor class. That is important when fighting it. +2 to initiative, not too bad. I would expect less. Hit points 33. That's 6 dice, 8 plus 6, and a 25 speed. So animated armor is pretty tough. It's got a high armor class, decent amount of hit points. Let's see what else it can do. 14 strength, 11 dex, 13 con, 1 intelligence, 3 wisdom, 1 charisma. Nothing to write home about there. Some pretty weak stats. Hello, Ashley R. Thank you for joining in. We are doing our animated armor, skeleton, and necromancer chat for D&D as I just kind of dry brush and hit some skeletons with some Nun oil. Going back to our animated armor, which has not been primed, but has been 3D printed. Immunities: poison, psychic, charmed, deafened, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, petrified. So it can't be charmed, which means you can't put animated armor to sleep, which is especially important because we have these super low stats that would probably fail a lot of saving throws. Senses: blind sight, passive perception 6. So animated armor being kind of a mystical, magical. Say hi, May. Hi, May. I said hello. How you doing? Thank you for jumping on here. Animated armor, I mean, it's like a spirit in the armor, summoned by a necromancer. So it doesn't actually have eyeballs, so it's going to have to use its blind sight to see. It's going to be a little tougher to hide from, although a good rogue should be able to hide with that 15 stealth check. That passive perception is only a 6. So you probably can take the hide action against animated armor. Let's see. Multi-attack. Armor makes 2 slam attacks. +4 to hit, 5-foot reach, 5 points damage average. That's 1d6 +2. Bludgeoning damage. So animated armor is not going to be doing a lot. Magic can manipulate mundane items, compelling them to perform simple tasks. Such animated objects might be unassuming tools or decorations that can defend their creator. These objects follow simple instructions for whatever force the magic user created them. If left unattended, they might defend an area for ages. I like the thought of that, where this armor has just been sitting there for 100 years defending the castle. I'll try not to get any paint on my iPad. They have a little table here. It says how the armor might have been animated. A celestial fiend might be using it for an object. A combination of magic and technology, alien science or alchemy. The essence of someone transformed by supernatural tricksters. The Fae, as part of their games, can make animated armor. Happenstance, with the item gaining a semblance of life after 100 years of use. A magic user in need of a guardian or servant. I think the magic user is really the big thing. You'll have the necromancer come along. He's going to animate the undead, and he's also going to animate some armor to guard. The animated armor having a higher armor class than, say, a skeleton. A song or magical instrument might bring them to life. A spirit might possess the object, which is why I love this suit of armor or skeleton. You can actually see this spirit here is actually possessing him. A wild magic, a spell went awry, or a chaos artifact, or the will of a powerful psychic being. When am I ending? I don't know, May. I'm just going to sit here and paint a little bit. And when I get tired, I'll end. I have some errands to run today, but I'm trying to be diligent about live streaming. Please check our channel for our other stuff we talk about. We just had this giant dice over here we talked about. I got my little flying dragon that was hand stitched. So let's talk about skeletons. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit here. Skeletons are the reanimated bones, humanoid bones, specifically humanoid bones, bearing the equipment they had in life. While they have rudimentary facilities and greater agility than zombies, they are similar to a shambling corpse. While they aren't capable of creating plans of their own, they avoid obvious barriers and self-destruction. I think as a dungeon master, it is important to read the description. There's a great book, The Monsters Know What They're Doing, that talks about how these guys would actually act. May, we can be friends. Follow, like, subscribe, and feel free to comment. If you have any questions, ask me the questions, and I will do my best to answer them. I am a dungeon master and a longtime player of D&D, and this channel shares all D&D content and painting. I like the way those eyes are popping, right? Or not popping, really, the recessed hollows. With a little bit of oil on this is good on a table. Paint the base gray, and you're all good to go. I'll put these guys off to the side so I don't get my iPad all messed up. So much nun oil. Skeletons are medium undead. They are lawful evil. They have an armor class of 14. That's less than our animated armor. They have initiative of +3. 13 hit points. That's 2 dice, 8 + 4, with a speed of 30. Their strength is 10. Their dex is 16, which is pretty good, actually. Con of 15. Intelligence of 6. So an intelligence of 6 does show some signs of basic tactics and rudimentary knowledge, so they are able to avoid anything kind of like stupid. They probably won't just walk into fire. If they notice the pit, they might not just walk into it, right? So keep that as a dungeon master. Recording. Hey Tony, how you doing? Thanks for jumping on. We are doing our skeleton and kind of undead chat while I paint these skeletons with nun oil. When did I start? I started the stream today, 10 minutes ago. And I started Dungeons and Dragons over 40 years ago. I am 52 years old, and or 53. I'm not even sure anymore. And I still play with little toy men, and I love it. Skeletons are vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. So you hit them with a mace, and that means you'll do double damage. You will do double damage to a skeleton if you bludgeon it. They're immune to poison, exhaustion, and being poisoned because they're just a bag of bones. I feel I have to ask my fellow Dungeon Master DM Evanson, can you put a skeleton to magical sleep? This new sleep spell, I got to tell you, in D&D is pretty powerful. If you have a high level wizard with a good spell DC, he put some serious monsters to sleep. In the old rules, there was a limit on the amount of hit points you could put to sleep, so like 33 hit points. The creature had over that couldn't sleep, but you'll be able to put stuff to sleep. It has dark vision. We don't have the blind sense. These guys can see in the dark. You see that? I love the way this is. That face is coming out. This oil really makes it pop. I'm going to have to throw a lot of skeletons against my players soon. They understand common plus one other language but can't speak. So you will be able to try to talk to the skeletons, and they will understand you, and maybe you can taunt them, but they cannot speak back. They have no voice boxes. They are skeletons. They have two weapons, and I always find this interesting because a ton of these models have bows. So they have a short sword that's +5 to hit, 5-foot reach, 6 points damage. That's 1d6 +3 piercing. They're going to stab you with that sword, up to 9 points. The Dead Professor. Thank you, Professor. Oddly not immune to charm spells. Exactly. So, and there are a ton of charm spells, which I don't understand. I feel like as a player in our own world, creating our own worlds, we might even have to go through the monster manual and revamp some of the immunities. I feel like, you shouldn't be able to charm a skeleton. They have a short bow. Lots of them have short bows. And you can see the bow in this particular model here. It's +5 to hit, 80 to 320. That's a short bow. That's a standard short bow range. 6 points of piercing damage. But just picture +5 to hit, hitting maybe an armor class 17 guy and a 13 plus, so 40% chance to hit. But if you had like 10 or 15 of these guys lined up on a wall, and you just start unloading with their bows, they're going to do damage. So the Dead Professor is contributing to the conversation, and I appreciate that. It's my fellow Dark Alchemist. Creatures that don't sleep, such as elves, or that have immunity to exhaustion conditions, automatically succeed saves. Oh, okay. So, Professor, you pointed out something I did not know, and that's part of the fun of doing these live streams is to educate myself. They're immune to exhaustion. It says right in the rules, they're immune to exhaustion. So, they have immunity to exhaustion condition, automatically succeed saves against this spell. Oh, that specifically that says sleep. So that is awesome to know. You cannot sleep skeletons. And I guess that's why in the new rules they put immune to exhaustion for these skeletons. Specifically, any creature that's immune to exhaustion will be immune to the sleep spell. This guy, I think, is a Drogar from Skyrim. It's a different type of skeleton as opposed to our other 3D prints. We have a slightly different skeleton. I just had whatever I had on the table. I've been spraying stuff like a madman. Skeletons rise at the summons of the necromancer and foul spirits, whether they're remains of the ancient dead. Todd, thank you for jumping in. I love the Skyrim monsters. Yeah, there is a whole series of Skyrim monsters that you can 3D print. I do not have that set or licensing to that set. We license out some other stuff to sell. You can check our Etsy store on our link to buy D&D minis. But yeah, those minis are awesome. I love the Skyrim. Todd, what do you usually do in Skyrim? I do Stealth Archer because that's the way to go. And then the second playthrough, I went total total mage. May, what is my favorite character? So in D&D, I have many favorite characters. I will give you 3. I had a tiefling warlock named Roy Agamar. The Warlock was really fun to play. My second one was a Grave Cleric Minotaur. We were playing the Curse of Strahd. And my last one in D&D is my current one. I'm just going Diviner Mage. Pure 100% magic user studying spells, scrolls, spellbook. I love it. Yeah, Todd, I feel the same way. You have to start off with the Stealth Archer. Skyrim's super hard in the beginning, and you have to stealth around. And then the Mage, Conjuration. I think those are two great bills. Um, I really enjoyed the whole storyline, getting the voice and no special abilities. I tried to stick with the story. Although I think at one point I did become a vampire assassin. I avoided the werewolf storyline, but yeah, Skyrim is awesome and still holds up to this day. It is such a good game. So let me go back to my skeletons. Skeletons rise at the summons of a necromancer and foul spirits, whether they're remains of the ancient dead or fresh bones bound to mortal ambition. They commit the deathless work of whatever force reanimated them, often serving as guardians, soldiers, or laborers. See, again, as a game master, you have to read this. You might come across an army of skeletons just digging a hole and doing the work. They never complain. May, you wish you could play? So I don't know what your situation is, May, but maybe check with your local library, talk to people down there, and see if the library could sponsor some Dungeons and Dragons. Get a group together. Somebody does have to be the dungeon master, but maybe somebody at the library would be able to, help you put that together, and you be the change you want to see. You start that up, and all of a sudden, it turns out you might have a good group of people. There's also something online called Start Play. You could play online. Some games are free, some cost. You need a computer with a good internet connection, a webcam, and a mic, and you can play online. I prefer in person, but hey, any way you can play D&D is a good way. I think this is another Skyrim guy with the crossbow. He's a little bit taller than the other ones. Let's see. So we talked about the laborers. In rare cases, skeletons are reanimated, but not given any particular direction. Roll on the chart below, which we'll go over. Todd says, I have a necromancer under the sewers of a city who had a contract to keep the sewers clean. Okay. He used the bodies of the dead criminals as free labor while he contracted the contract gold. Wow, I love that storyline. That is awesome. I mean, I got to tell you, the more people who play D&D and I chat with and interview and just kind of meet online here on the lives, you see these creative people. Todd, that is so creative. I love it. And it also gives you a second storyline, right? If you had a lawful good paladin, how would he feel? Thank you for the hearts. How would he feel about that? How would that paladin feel if he knew, hey, yeah, I'm just come on, they're criminals. We're just using labor. The professor has a big argument that we shouldn't be animating people because it's with somebody's soul. And also, if you lose control of these guys after 24 hours, hey, Goofy Goo, I'm a goofy goober, yeah. You're a goofy goober, yeah. We're all goofy goobers here. Todd, that's an awesome story. That really is just an awesome story. I love it. I'm gonna try to. Man, I kind of want to work that into the campaign. Can I steal that idea, Todd? Can I use that idea? Oh, let me see. Say hi to Goofy Goober. May, I'm live. Oh, May, I might be live tomorrow, Sunday morning, with the Dead Professor and DM Evanson. We're going to try to interview a gentleman who created some D&D modules. If not, we're just going to talk about random D&D stuff. Goofy Goober is back. Remember me when I was petting those crocodiles? Yeah, I remember I did my crocodile chat, and we used them in the game. They were awesome. The dwarf kept falling overboard in my campaign, and he wrestled a snake. There's there's not another live, or maybe it's alive. There's another stream where the dwarf is fighting in the mire. My friend Adam plays it, and he is a hot mess with his dwarf barbarian. Todd, oh, thank you, Todd. I appreciate letting me use that idea. I'm definitely going to try to recreate the fact that there's undead labor being used to keep the sewers clean. So I gotta say, after I do, let's see, here's all my skeletons. So I did a bunch of skeletons. I have a bunch more to go through, but once in a while you have to treat yourself. So you paint 10 miniatures, and then you switch it up. You grab a ball contrast, and you go to imps. Imp. Oh, I put it. Let's see if we can put an imp. IMP. That's an imp. And this is an imp. Imp is a monster. Dun, dun, dun. So I think we're going to hit this with some ball red and see what that looks like. Known for their cowardice and toadying, imps serve the devils and wicked magic users. Their abilities to shapeshift and pass unseen make them skillful spies, adept at dealing with fleeing danger. So the professor has an imp or a version of it, and he is using his invisibility to annoyingly good capacity in order to stealth around. And I, as a dungeon master, have to appreciate that his character is using everything that he can. So this is that ball red. It really soaks in there. I have 55 minutes, and then I have to go do something on my game. So Goofy Goober, what are you doing on your game? Are you playing D&D? Are you a player? Are you dungeon master? Are you prepping? Tell us what your favorite monster is, or what's going on. What's going on in your world? They frequently omit important details. Oh, I have to remember that, Professor. So let's read that again. Imps sent to surveil other creatures relay what they discover to their masters. They frequently omit important details. I have to delve deeper into that whole warlock thing. If your imp would omit details, or is he just a total, loving, good following servant? Would he try to mess with you? Is that something I could add to our game? Because he is actually part of the artificer warlock combination. He's an imp with some artificer look, but he does fall under the warlock pact. And how much control do you have over him? He's been having fun though, especially when he knocked over all those bottles when I rolled the one. But you rolled the one, but maybe that was on purpose. Okay, let's go back. An imp is a tiny fiend. It's a devil. This is a devil, and it's probably why Dungeons and Dragons used to be hated, because we talked about devils in the 70s and 80s. Has an armor class of 13, initiative of +3. 21 hit points. That's 6 dice, 4 plus 6, so you can have more. The imp that the warlock uses is a little bit different, less hit points. A movement speed of 20 and a fly speed of 40. The fly speed is very decent. Most fly speeds are 20 or 30. Fly speed of 40 is fairly quick. I'm digging it. I'm digging this imp here. Can we see him? I'm going to have to dry brush to pull out the details. Just getting the red base down. They have deception +4, insight +3, stealth +5. They are resistant to cold because they are so warm-blooded. They're immune to fire, poison, and the poison condition. They speak common and infernal. They are a CR1 creature. They have magic resistance. They have advantage on magic saving throws. That's pretty hefty. They are not immune to exhausted, so you could sleep them theoretically. Wisdom save +1, not too bad. They have a sting. That's their stingy tail. They have a +5 to hit, a 5-foot reach, 6 damage. That's 1d6 +3. Piercing +7. That's 2d6 poison damage. Maximum damage is 9 for that. 12. 9 plus 12. So you're looking at 21 points. Invisibility is the big thing, right? Imps can go invisible, requiring no spell component, and using the charisma as the casting modifier, so it can disappear. Goofy Goober, I'm thinking about being like a Roblox game maker. I'm working on a battleground games. It's not like the monster stuff. I'm into making Roblox games, and I almost got a game finished. That's awesome. I played some Roblox games with my daughter. I think one of my favorite was the Prison Break game, where it was prisoners and cops, and you had to break out. I feel like there was also a game where I had to make coffee and serve pizza. Not a huge Roblox player, but I am aware of it. And if you can make money that way, more power to you. Do it. Shapeshift. An imp can shapeshift to resemble a rat. I have a rat sitting here. Well, maybe not that big of a rat. Hey, this is interesting. We had a little bit of a misprint over here. Hi, Goofy Goober. Had a little bit of a misprint here, and he doesn't have a jaw. Have another giant rat over here. His uh, his mouth came out good. I still have to do the bone highlights for the giant rats. Haven't thrown these against my players yet, but we are working on it. I only did one imp, but I want to switch off to Memphit. So Memphit is like an elemental creature. If I can spell it right. A Memphit's an elemental creature, and in the Feywild, we came across some mud Memphits. So this guy here is a mud Memphit. He has some. I have some supports on him still. So when he 3D prints, there's some supports. His wings are supposed to have holes in them. He is supposed to be dripping mud and stuff, but some of these supports are very finicky. You can even see supports here, right? I mean, if he's going to be mud, it's okay because he can look like that, but we want to cut some of that stuff off there. So let's pick a brown out. Do I have a brown for a mud Memphit? I have orange. I have a green. I'm going to go with starting with the dark oak flesh. Let's see what Todd is saying. I use my Warlock's Imp to shapeshift into a rat and then spy on my inside a vampire's lair to get the full layout before the party went in great recon. The vampire just assumed it was one of the rats. I love that, Todd. That's awesome. Thank you for that story. I totally agree with that. That's awesome. I wonder what roles the game master might have been doing. Do you think the game master was doing any perception or insight checks? Or do you think that it was just such a good idea that, there would be rats around a vampire's lair that he didn't even notice it? And did that imp report all the correct information back? He didn't kind of mess with you, right? He wanted to survive himself, so he gave you the good intel. And it wasn't a surprise when you went in there with the layout. I love it. That's awesome. So, I tell you, the more I talk about D&D, we talk about these cool stories. I am liking the way this flesh looks for a mud Memphit. So in the Feywild, you come across mud Memphits as one of the random encounters, and the mud Memphits say to you, "What is a mud Memphit's favorite food?" And it's a riddle. Well, not really too much of a riddle, just like a silly question. And if you don't say mud pie, they attack you. A mud Memphit is a small elemental. It's neutral evil. Has an armor class of 11, initiative of +1. Hit points 13. That's 3d6 plus 3. A move speed of 20, a fly speed of 20, and a swim speed of 20, so they can chase you into the mud or the water. How do I start a live? Go on YouTube, and you have to have an account. And basically, you can upload to your account. You hit the plus button, and you can choose to upload a video that you took before, or you can go live. A mud Memphit has a strength of 8, a dex of 12, a con of 12, intelligence of 9, wisdom of 11, and a charisma of 7. None of these abilities or stats or anything to write home about. They have stealth of +3. It doesn't say it, but I would give them advantage in mud to hide. I would let them roll an extra dice in the mud since they look like mud. Natural camouflage. So these guys are going to try to hide and ambush you. They're elementals, so they will probably fight to the death, just, respawning in the realm of mud or dirt or earth. They probably wouldn't be too concerned about getting popped. And they are evil, so they want to hurt you, or at least mess with you. They're immune to poison, exhaustion, and being poisoned. So, as the dead professor said, these guys will not be affected by sleep. They have dark vision of 60. Man, it seems like every single monster has dark vision, basically. The whole world has dark vision. All the players have dark vision. Does darkness even mean anything anymore? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. They speak Primordial, which is Aquan and Terran. They speak the water language and the earth languages. They have a death burst. I think all methods have a death burst. So, hey, Todd, thanks for stopping on. Have a great day. Be great. Um, they have a death burst. The Memphis explode when it dies. You have to take a dexterity saving throw, DC 11. Each creature within a 5-foot radius and the emanation originating from the method on a failure restrained till the end of the turn. So no damage. You just get the restrained, and it's only going to be 5 feet. So basically, you have to be in hand to hand with the method. I'll do one more over here. I'm probably going to finish these up offline. Actions, it has a slam attack. That's your attack roll. +3 to hit, 5-foot reach, 4 damage. That's 1d6 plus 1 bludgeoning. So up to 7 points of damage. Not a lot of damage for a mud method. They have mud breath on a recharge of 6. Each method's going to get to fight as once and then probably take a long time to recharge. That's a dexterity saving throw, DC 11, just like their mud explosion. Each creature a method can see within 15 feet would be the restrained condition, movement of 0. I think this is a CR half monster, so I think really you would need at least 5 or 10 methods throwing them at your players to do anything. Restrain them and swarm them and just keep stabbing them. I don't think they're a hugely powerful monster. But, if these guys pop up against a level 1 or 2 character, it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. There's also fire Memphits and different types. Memphits are mean-spirited tricksters that dwell in the elemental planes. Again, there are different types. The 6 most prominent types of Memphits resembling half-sized gargoyles and wings, extravagated features and bodies composing of 2 elements. So in this case, earth and water make mud. That's why they speak those 2 languages. Most live self-interesting existences, indulging their warped sense of humor or overblown egos in their home planes of existence. Some serve as messengers to genies and magic users. So talking about that humor, they made that silly joke about mud pie. All my players groaned when I said it. And I don't know, I'd have to ask ChatGPT for some fire and water jokes or the different types of jokes to say. Memphis resent leaving the elemental extremes that they make their homes. If loosed on the prime material plane or other realms, they lash out with nasty pranks. So what other prank could a Memphis have? Maybe, it'd be funny. Characters are running away from a big monster. I like this idea. Characters running away from a big scary monster, and as a joke, the mud Memphis fly over and just start, while flying, hit him with that mud breath and restraining him. Not actually attacking him, just trying to restrain him as the monsters get closer. We were recently running from some trolls, a troll horde, and if we had Memphis restraining us as we were running, it would not be a happy time. So, well, that's it for Memphis. I kind of went over everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you for joining us. I hope everybody has a great day. I hope everybody gets to play some Dungeons & Dragons this week. And if you're around tomorrow, please check us out. We're going to do a live at maybe 10 or 11 a.m. The guy we want to interview, Mark, is in California, 3 hours time difference. So hopefully we can get him up at 7 a.m. We shall see. Everybody have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys again. Bye.